What's going on, everybody? Can't overdo it with another video, and in this one I'm going to be ranking every piece of media that I consumed in the month of July 2025, which was just a lot of PGR. There's so much Punishing Gray Raven on this list. If you're a Punishing Gray Raven fan, you will not be disappointed. Like, so much of this shit is Punishing Gray Raven, but there are still some other media to also talk about, so this isn't just can't overdo it ranks every chapter of Punishing Gray Raven that he's read so far, so that's something, I guess. But whatever, let's just get into the Punishing Gray Raven stuff, because there's so much to talk about. At number 24, Jesus Christ. At number 24, I have Punishing Gray Raven, Chapter 4, Hidden Story, Forgotten Sand. And again, we have so much Punishing Gray Raven to get through. There's not much substance here. Like, the hidden stories, as we will discuss, have a lot of potential. I really like the idea of the hidden stories, and I think that it can make for very interesting narratives later on. That's not the case right now, and the robot gameplay sucked. 4 out of 10. This was garbage. I did not like it. At number 23, I have Punishing Gray Raven, Chapter 5, Hidden Story, Shattered Illusion. I've literally nothing to say about this. I'm serious. I had literally 0 notes about this. Like, as I was playing it, I'll keep a little notepad thing open so that I can, write down my thoughts about it that are fresh. That way, when I go to make a video like this, I can talk about it. I did none of that. I gave it a 5 out of 10 and moved on. At number 22, I have Punishing Gray Raven Chapter 3 Hidden Story, Final Exhibition. And now we've made it all the way up to the 6 out of 10 range. We're going on a string of shit that I gave a 6 out of 10, and we're sticking with PGR for a while. It's fine. Pretty much the same as the other hidden chapters up to now, where, again, conceptually, this could be hella peak, but as of now, it's just fine. Roland is a fun antagonist in the story, but you also play as him in the hidden story, and his gameplay... it's not Bronya Honkai Impact 3rd, man, I guess. At number 21, I have Punishing Gray Raven Chapter 2 Hidden Story, Journey of Torture. This is torture. Unsurprisingly, there still isn't much to say. There was some Project Moonbrain rot when Chrome said abnormalities. Yes, I wrote that down. And Tifa was alright. Again, I want to reiterate, I think the hidden stories have potential. That potential is yet to be realized. At number 20, I have the worst Punishing Gray Raven interlude that I've read so far. And before we even get into this, oh, you know what? No, we'll talk about it later. I have some thoughts about the quality of the interludes in comparison to the quality of the main fucking chapters, but we'll get there. We're still in the 6 out of 10 range right now, where I don't have much to say. This is one of the lesser interludes for sure, especially since the other interludes are as good as they are. More on those later. There was a pretty good heartwarming scene towards the end here, but that's really it. Other than that, it was okay. Post-editing can't overdo it here. I realized I never even said the name of the fucking interlude. Nanami Pulse. Number 19, Punishing Gray Raven, Kamui, Bastion interlude. And I'm going to be straight up here. I have nothing to add. Basically take the last entry, make the titular character one who I like a little bit less, but with a slightly better surrounding plot. Fucking yay, dude. There's so much Punishing Gray Raven. I know it sounds like I'm shitting on Punishing Gray Raven right now. There will be good to say later on, don't worry. But that's going to have to wait because we have made it out of Punishing Gray Raven. We have officially hit number 18, the Percy Jackson movie. The first one, The Lightning Thief. And yeah, I watched this, and I remember watching it as a kid and liking it a lot, but now I've finally read the first novel, which we'll talk about later in this video, and the movie was, honestly, good. The first half of it, at least. I thought the first half of it was pretty okay. Even though I don't love the concept of them aging up the characters, it's not like a crazy, insane big deal to me. However, around the first half of the movie, it really felt like we had a switch in directors, where the first half was somebody who did read the books and tried, you know. But it was later picked up by someone who did not read the books and just kind of did whatever. There's just so many rewritten plots, changing entire characters and their motives, and bizarrely keeping Percy's super juvenile mindset at points. Which makes sense in the books. He's a kid, but here he should probably have a better head on his shoulders, you would think. Anyways, as a standalone movie, taking out the fact that it's an adaptation, it is good. I liked it. I had a good time. As an adaptation, though, it's no Karuhana adaptation. Just go watch that instead. It's so peak. They just had the park scene in episode 6. It's so good. At number 17, we're back to Punishing Gray Raven, and a string of Punishing Gray Raven, but we've made it to the 6.5 out of 10. It's mainly a 6.5 out of 10 for me because I actually have something to say. Seeing Lucia's interlude tie into the nun's backstory was cool. That's the whole commentary. Here, it's very short. Has all of the hidden stories themselves, really. And I just realized, I'm not gonna take this out because I just don't care enough right now. But this is Punishing Gray Raven Chapter 6, Hidden Alloy Contamination. So this is the Chapter 6 hidden story. Anyway, I just forgot to read that, my bad. Again, it's very short, and it was perfectly fine with an actual lore tie-in that made me give a shit for a little bit. So that's a win. Moving on to number 16, we have Punishing Gray Raven Chapter 4, Hidden Sand. And up to this point in the game, this was the most Punishing Gray Raven of the chapters. It was fine. Lee started becoming an actual character here and growing some sass towards Kamui, which was fun. I like that a lot, because I also don't like Kamui that much. We'll talk about him later. Watanabe as an antagonist, as brief as that stint was cool. I enjoyed him. Obviously more so later on, but still here, he was fun. Overall, this was also the chapter where I started to appreciate the gameplay more, seeing it as essentially Honkai Impact 3rd gameplay, but better. Can't say the same for the story, though. And we've made it. We are at the 7 out of 10 tier. Thank God. At number 15, we have Punishing Gray Raven Interlude Karenina Blast. And again, we've made it to the holy grail of 7 out of 10 content. The only real negative I have here is that getting the hidden node annoyed me, because it just didn't work the first time, and I don't really know why. It just wouldn't activate, and it was stupid. Karenina herself is a character I'm excited to see more of, because what we did see of her was pretty good on the whole, which, as of Punishing Gray Raven so far, makes it fucking great peak content. The bullying she went through and her ability to stand strong despite that was genuinely great and heartwarming and dear to me to her character, and I want to know more about her character. This was a good interlude. At number 14, we have another interlude, followed by another interlude. This time it's Punishing Gray Raven Watanabe Nightblade, and this one is really interesting because we're actually going to be talking about it more later on, since it bizarrely relates to other Punishing Gray Raven content. But anyhow, him, Watanabe, comforting Bianca after her having shot the priest was really great content for the both of them, which, again, will come up later. You'll never guess what that content is. We just gotta keep going. At number 13, Punishing Gray Raven Interlude Nanami Storm. And, alright, couple things. First of all, this is definitely the better of the 2 Nanami interludes. At least out of the ones that I've read so far. There might be more later, I'm not really sure. It was really good. I liked Nanami's backstory here, and it's basically the baseline by which I assessed the other interludes when I was playing through them, where it's just really solid quality. And straight up, this would be a couple spots higher, but similar to the Karenina one, this had my least favorite mission for the hidden node. That shit was just miserable to do. Having all the corrupted on the street, but having to use the animations to figure out if they were actually corrupted or not. Which makes sense lore-wise, it makes sense narratively, but it doesn't make the gameplay any better. That shit sucked. But here we are, 7.5 out of 10. And we're going to be here for a little bit. At number 12, I have Punishing Gray Raven Chapter 5, Shattered Illusion. And this is the best of the chapters so far with 1 through 5. There are still some growing pains that are definitely still relevant, and we're definitely still in the before it gets good stage. But this is around the time that I started to like Punishing Gray Raven more, with me having done multiple interludes by this point, and it just being good in general with getting immediate payoff for some of those interludes. At number 11, we have Punishing Gray Raven Chapter 8, Consumed by Darkness. And this would be better if it wasn't Kamui in the spotlight. I just don't really like Kamui that much. I find him annoying, but him being literally Kaneki for real is kind of funny. But really, the parallels to Honkai Impact 3rd were at their strongest here, where we see Lucia get an upgrade similar to how Kiana does, and I'm expecting more of those in the future for her, Lee, and Liv, if not other characters as well. At number 10, I have Punishing Gray Raven, Lucia, Lotus. The first interlude that I read, and yeah, it was great, because somehow Kudo Games made the genuinely bizarre choice to make the interludes better than the main story for the beginning. But, and that wouldn't be so bad, right? But you would think that you would rather have this trend in the middle of the story, not at the beginning when you're trying to hook readers into the story, but yeah, here we are. And I will be complaining about this more, don't you worry. Seeing little Lucia was cute, it was fun. Her backstory with Luna was solid, and her going through the procedure whilst sad was cool, and again, that nun figure that we brought up earlier was also here, so that's something. But really, yeah, this set the standard for what an interlude should be. Started off strong. At number 9, I have Punishing Gray Raven Chapter 7, Inver-Collapse. Nanami is just such a fucking trip, dude. And Bianca completely ignoring her? Peak cinema. I don't particularly care for Kamui, so him not being here was pretty great. Roland was here towards the end as well, so that's always good stuff. Despite his inability to be Lolang, the GOAT, Roland here is still pretty good. Bianca was cool. Karenina was alright here. Her going after Kamui herself was cool, but that's really all I have to say. Like most Punishing Gray Raven stuff, it's very short, but it's definitely one of the better main chapters so far. And we are done with Punishing Gray Raven for one more entry. We have Percy Jackson novel, number 1 at number 8 on this list. The first Punishing, the first Percy Jackson book is here at number 8. I'm gonna leave that as a blooper, I think. And okay, we got a breath of fresh air. I liked this. But let's get the elephant out of the room here. I'm a grown-ass man. I have a full-time job. I've got bills to pay. And I'm choosing to read Percy Jackson. Look, the actual prose here is very juvenile at points. But I don't think that's inherently bad. And this is going to sound like a really dumb segue, but just let me cook. Doki Doki Literature Club really changed my mind on this through Natsuki's poem style, really demonstrating that simplistic writing isn't inherently bad, and that's exactly the case here. The first novel of Percy Jackson, even though the narrative is not the most complex I've ever read, it's still fine. It's still enjoyable. My personal favorite part of the read was definitely the dynamic between Annabeth and Percy. Duh. Grover was a fine character as well. Percy's motives are in line of what a kid would think, and I like that he stays in character. As for the narrative itself, it is fast. Very fast, in line with Percy himself being juvenile and full of life. The plot just doesn't stop moving, which I kind of don't like personally. I want the narrative to slow down at points, but it just doesn't. Things are constantly moving. Our titular trio is being dragged from place to place over and over, where it doesn't even feel like there's any time to breathe. I'm going to continue the series for sure, and for whatever it's worth, it's better than most of Punishing Gray Raven, so that's something, I guess. Speaking of Punishing Gray Raven, did you miss it? At number 7, Punishing Gray Raven, Lee Palefire. This will be very short. It was solid stuff. I felt a lot better about Lee. His motivation was portrayed well, his hidden node quest was not completely miserable to do, and I liked the interlude despite it not being my favorite, especially in comparison to another interlude that I'd already read up to this point. And we are here. 8 out of 10. At number 6, I have Punishing Gray Raven Chapter 6, Alloy Contamination. This is the best main chapter of Punishing Gray Raven so far, and we still have some interludes to talk about. Which, okay, I'm gonna get into it now. That's so fucking bizarre. I cannot fathom. I do not understand the idea of making the fucking interludes better than the main story itself. It is so strange. I don't get it. I really don't. But anyways, okay. Nanami's nuts. She's very eccentric, very fun. She's an alright character. I like her. We had a lot of characters here who mattered. We even had the likes of Vera, who made an appearance, who's barely around, as well as Celica, who's also barely ever around. Quick tidbit on her. Her sprite, she wears a glove, I think. But the glove only covers her fingers. It's like the inverse of a fingerless glove. And I hate it. I could not unsee it, and I'm making that your problem now. Anyways, Kamui was literally distorting for real. Read Project Moon, that shit's peak. At number 5, I wanted this to be my favorite interlude. I really did. But at number 5, I put Punishing Gray Raven Liv Eclipse. And again, I wanted this to be my favorite. This was one of the first ones that I read, and it was incredible. This was the first genuinely very good Punishing Gray Raven content out there for me. I brought up Project Moon just a few seconds ago, and I'm gonna do it again, because Punishing Gray Raven also makes this quirky, fun little decision to make all the backstories just depression. Yeah, this shit was depressing. Liv's story was very endearing to me. Her relationship with her family, as toxic and horrible as it is, she still finds solace in it, and her story is just beautiful. And again, I wanted to put this as my favorite Punishing Gray Raven content, because again, this was really the first content that I really liked, that I thought was better than just passable, serviceable, good. But there was one interlude that I liked a little bit more, which we'll talk about fairly soon. At number 4, I have Green Yuri, also known as the guy she was interested in wasn't a guy at all. So I'm gonna call it Green Yuri because that's a lot fucking easier. The main duo here play off of one another very well. It's that typical opposites attract type of story, and the execution's just really great. I really like this manga. In particular, the art itself. I could talk about the characters and how their romantic chemistry is really good, how even the side characters aren't completely horrible, but I'm going to focus more so on the art because I think the art's really fucking good. The splashes of green really breathe life into it, and the little, magazine covers that they do are so fucking cool. I liked them a lot. All in all, despite the chapters being very short, this was a super fun read, and I definitely recommend it, especially if you're in the market for a Yuri manga. I caught up to it in one sitting, and it's like 130 chapters, but all the chapters are super short, so, I totally recommend this. This one's really good. Guys, I fucked up the 8. We've made it to 8.5 out of 10, but Green Yuri was also 8.5 out of 10. Just go with it, man. I'm so tired, okay? At number 3, which on my script I also wrote as number 4. Whatever. At number 3, the best content in Punishing Gray Raven for me so far is Bianca 0 Interlude. And again, this was the best interlude for me. It was the best content in all of PGR for me. And straight up, this is where things get hard. Because if I was only considering the content in this individual interlude itself, I probably would have put Liv Eclipse higher. However, the way that Bianca's interlude is interwoven with Watanabe's is so fucking good. And this is pretty much the kind of content I'm hoping for later on in the hidden stories. This is the best of Punishing Gray Raven for me so far. Bianca's probably my favorite character, only taking the narrative into account at least. And her story, whilst not the most insane, is really fucking good, and her genuine remorse for the priest is heartfelt. And again, the hidden node activation wasn't ass cancer. I just wish that we got actual Bianca content in the hidden node. But whatever, I want to talk about Project Moon as a whole, because again, this is the best content obviously in it for me so far. I'm not going to have any more to talk about in other entries. Hey guys, another appearance of post-editing Can't Overdo It. This is not Project Moon. This is Punishing Gray Raven. So let's just get my whole thoughts out there for a minute. The interludes are just straight up better on average than the main chapters, at least as of chapters 1 through 8. And again, This is genuinely insane to me. The gameplay, I actually really like it. I see it as basically just a better Honkai Impact 3rd for the gameplay, not the story. My current main trio is Lamia Lost Lullaby, Ishmael Parhelion, and Bianca Stigmata, all of which have their signature weapons and they're max leveled. I have no idea how this team synergizes with one another. I'm sure they probably don't at all, but I have fun playing them, so I'm going to keep that trio. Even if you tell me in the comments that this trio sucks, I'm going to keep playing them. Lamia is my favorite to play, followed by Ishmael and then Bianca. Although, before getting Bianca, I shuffled through Lucia, Crimson Weed, and, dare I say, Jetavi? Fuck if I know, dude. Daybreak. But yeah, I like the gameplay loop. The focus on combos is really cool, being able to get the, like, different colored orbs, the blue, yellows, and reds, and trying to, like, focus on building those into the trios. You know what I'm talking about if you played the game. I find that really fun. I think it's really cool to be able to, like, pay attention to that while also just spamming J and K for attacking and dodging. I play on keyboard and mouse. But anyways, yeah, I like the gameplay loop a lot when I get to play the units that I actively want to play and not the fucking robot or Roland, whose gameplay I just don't like. I'm sorry, I said it. For character story-wise, though, Liv and Bianca are definitely my favorite tier. They're essentially my top tier of Punishing Gray Raven so far, but that's not really saying a whole lot. Watanabe, Lee, and Nanami make up the next tier, where I see a lot of potential in both Watanabe and Lee, and for Nanami, I just find her so fucking funny, so she's here too. Followed up by Karenina, Roland, and Kamui, begrudgingly, in a spot where Karenina has a solid interlude but hasn't done much in the main story. Roland is just fun, and Kamui, despite my not particular fondness for him, he has played a pretty large role in the main story so far, so I guess he's here too, unfortunately. But my bottom tier is Celica, because her glove annoys me. If not for that, she would be at a tier higher. Vera, who is a bitch, very unashamedly one to where I actually like her. She's just kind of irrelevant, so I didn't want to put her any higher. Lucia, who is fine, I guess. I really don't have any opinion on her at all, which to me is worse. Where I don't feel particularly good or bad about her, she is literally just fine. And Chrome, who, same thing, but with a lot, and I mean a lot less screen time. All in all, I like Punishing Gray Raven. I'll be continuing it for sure. Hopefully not as much, though, because talking about this much Punishing Gray Raven in a video that's not strictly about Punishing Gray Raven is almost as insane as the idea that the interludes are better than the main stories. I cannot get over that. We're out of Punishing Gray Raven, guys. We've done it. At number 2, I have Sofia in Exchange for Lies. And this was a super cool experience that I got to play through blind, which was super fun. Basically, you're a detective dude, and we know that Sofia has committed a murder. The problem is that she has some form of dissociative identity disorder, and we don't know which of those personalities did the deed. We have a magical device that will purge one personality from her if we can figure out the guilty party in our allotted 7 days. If not, Sofia herself will be put to death. So there are, like, some actual stakes here, despite it sounding like there probably wouldn't be. We are looking at her through, essentially, think like Big Brother, where there's just cameras in this room and we're following her. The gameplay interaction is super simple. You're really just finding keywords to develop her story and shifting between her personalities in order to get the full picture, which is really cool and I like it a lot. Where you need to broach certain conversation topics with certain personalities in order to get the plot moving, which is cool. It's like a big puzzle. It's awesome. I brought this up earlier when talking about the Bianca interlude for Punishing Gray Raven, but I really like interwoven narratives, and this is exactly that, where the narrative itself is slowly being built upon by itself through these multiple personalities that you're getting info from. The personalities of Sofia, Olivia, Isabella, Florence, and Amy are all distinct enough to tell the difference between them, not just by their designs, but their mannerisms, which is really nice. And having them each have a different color scheme is also just a really cool aesthetic choice. Once all is said and done, the mystery is really fun to piece together. I did find it slightly annoying trying to find the exact keywords, where it was kind of like Danganronpa, where sometimes when you're in the trials, you know the answer, but you don't know exactly what the game wants you to say, even though you know what it is. Like, it's kind of frustrating in that area, but Other than that, I did find it really fun. But that's also really the only issue that I took with the game. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a game I just happened to stumble on Steam, and since I normally scroll through the actual torture pits of hell that is the visual novel genre on Steam, this was a nice breath of fresh air. And Olivia Best Girl, not even remotely close. At number 1, the best piece of media that I consumed in July 2025 is not Punishing Grey Raven. Who would have thought? At number 1, I have Utawarerumono, The Mask of Truth. And this is hard, right? Because this kind of had to be number 1, but I still have a lot of flaws with it, and we will be talking about them. Utawarerumono, The Mask of Truth is the third game in the Utawarerumono trilogy, and straight up I preferred Mask of Deception. Mask of Truth did peak higher. The scene with the mom was incredible. Haku's conclusion was also incredible. Seeing the arcs that our main cast each went through on making sure to touch up on every single character so that the loose ends were minimal. Raiko's a fantastic antagonist, which is even more incredible considering that the guideline for Utawarerumono antagonists is very low. They are not good. Utawarerumono as a series really struggles in the antagonist department, but Raiko's an exception. I really liked that his philosophy got picked apart. It was genuinely great, and in general, the gameplay felt very smooth throughout, better than the first 2 games. The final fight was super fun, and I love it conceptually, and in particular, as a send-off to the series, I think it is perfect. I loved that final fight. I thought it was really good. With all of that being said, I'm going to shit on it now. First of all, that trio fight, if you've played the game, you know, fuck that fight. Genuinely miserable. It's up there with Honkai Impact 3rd Chapter 11 EX, which I'm not going to get into here. That shit is fucking horrible. An abomination. The worst segment of gaming I've ever had the displeasure of sitting through. Yep, we're gonna do it. We're gonna talk about Maruto. Fuck Maruto. Maruto is genuinely one of my least favorite characters across fiction. Let that sink in. I have read a lot. I genuinely was losing interest when he had screen time. I hated his dialogue. I hated his design. His voice actor does an incredible job of showcasing how fucking pathetic and annoying Maruto is. Credit to the voice actor. They did well in the assignment, but the assignment was horseshit. Genuinely, fuck this guy. And you know, as I was playing both of these Mask of Truth, Mask of Deception games, I was talking to a homie through it all. You know who you are, and you're a real one. But he was telling me the whole time, dude, Maruto gets better. I know you don't like him right now, but trust in the vision, man. No. Just no. Maruto did not get better, because by the time that he got his narrative importance and had his good scenes, and I'm using heavy air quotes, I was so checked out by them that it did not matter. I sat through 6 cantos of Don Quixote, finding her annoying throughout all of it, but in her canto, she became one of my favorite characters in one of my favorite series of all time. I sat through 27 hours of Euphoria before getting to the last 3 hours, which were peak, by the way, and it made me like Euphoria as a whole finished story. Maruto is not that. I didn't care at all by the time of his good, heavy, air quotes, moments. I don't like him. He's not the worst. He's not my least favorite, because Amy from the House in Fata Morgana exists, who is by far the most irrelevant, reprehensible, vile, disgusting human garbage to be written into a work of fiction, but Maruto gave her a damn good run for her money as my least favorite character of all time. Anyways, let's run down the rest of the cast, which I've got significantly less to say about. In the interest of time, we're going to work our way up from Maruto, starting off with the irrelevant/who tier, which has 18 characters in it who aren't getting named at all. They don't deserve it. Next up, we have the alright tier, in order from worst to best. Fuck my life. This is going to be the whole trilogy, by the way, so if you see names that are not in Mask of Truth, that's why. Nuwangi, Dedi Hodai, Teoro, Sopoku, Chikinado, Shinanon, Genjimaru, Tusker, Dori, Guda, Itak, Woshis, Innkeeper, Osen, Yashima, Aruru, Kiru, and Varai. Damn, alright. Next we have the solid as fuck tier, housing Entua, Mikado, Honoka, Kokopo, yes I'm serious, Fumito, Yuzuha, Kamui, I'm gonna just, this is a fucking sounded out, Soyan Kicker, Toka, Kuya, Kudo, Shis. followed by the truly great tier, being Shichiriya, Genho, Yachtwalt, aka J-Man for my playthrough, Udadu and Sadana, I'm not going to bother separating them, Obodo, Anju, Hakuolo, Benoi, Oshtor, Torikori, Edidu, Nosuri, and Mikazuchi. And my top 10 characters across the Utawarerumono trilogy are Ultri, Raiko, Otui, Munachika, Ogi, Nekone, Karulao, Rulutier, Kuon, and Haku. Holy shit, that's finally done. I really enjoyed my time with Utawarerumono. I'm so glad it's fucking over. I know there's like a spinoff or something. Maybe I'll get to it eventually. Who knows? There's an anime out there. I will watch that. I don't know when. I don't know if it's any good, but we'll see when we see. Mask of Deception was my favorite, followed by Mask of Truth, and then Prelude to the Fallen is definitely last place. It's still good, but in comparison... Anyways, that'll do it. That is every piece of media that I finished in the month of July 2025. I am so fucking tired, I'm not even going to attempt an outro. Take care, y'all.